Hi and welcome to Amber in the Kitchen. Today we are going to be making a blue ribbon butter cake, and it is from Taste of Home. I went ahead and printed it out so you guys can see what's going on with that, and I can look at it for reference while I'm talking with you. I've made pound cake before and I've made angel food cake before. I've never made butter cake before, but I had a request from a friend because she had tried it and it didn't turn out as she had hoped. So we'll see what happens today with my recipe that I've chosen from the Taste of Home. All right, here are our ingredients. All right, so we've got flour over here, room temperature eggs, sugar, buttermilk. This is baking powder, baking soda, and salt, and vanilla. And then over here on the saucepan, we've got vanilla, sugar, and water, and I'll be adding butter to this later on the stove. This calls for almond extract as well. I'm omitting that because I do not care for the flavor of almond extract. So feel free to mess around with your extracts if you're making this. All right, so we are going to go ahead and cream our butter and sugar. So it calls for a cup of butter, softened, which these have been out for a while. So they should be nice and softened. Let's see, you guys cannot see that mixing bowl. Let's see if I can switch it up for you guys a little bit more. I'm trying a different position on my little camera holder, so bear with me guys, sorry. There we go. So 1 cup of butter is 2 sticks, and I'm using unsalted butter. If you are using salted, just half your sugar, or half the salt that you add on top of that. Okay, so we've got butter, we've got sugar. Always helps to pre-measure your ingredients so you don't feel rushed. And it's actually a lot cleaner to do it in advance, I am finding, as I'm doing this with you guys. Okay, so creaming, if you remember, is when we blend our butter and sugar together so that the sugar can fully incorporate into the butter, and then it can also start to dissolve a little bit. So your creamed butter should take just a couple of minutes, and it should be a little less grainy feeling than when you first started. Okay. And then I'm going to start cracking the eggs in our bowl here. While we're waiting for our creaming to happen. Okay, that looks nice and fluffy. Okay, so it's changed color. It's a little lighter in color, if you've noticed, and it kind of has a little bit of a fluffy look to it. We're going to add our eggs one at a time, and then our vanilla. The reason why a lot of recipes ask you to add eggs one at a time is to ensure that the yolks get broken and fully incorporated, as well as to ensure that you don't just have like a clump of egg white or yolk in your end product. All right, so there is our butter, sugar, and now eggs. And I'm going to add our vanilla here. Also, I should note that this recipe called for, what was it, 2 teaspoons? Yeah, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and I'm adding a full tablespoon. So 3 tablespoons, or the equivalent of 3 teaspoons. Okay, so we've got our flour here on the side. I'm going to add in our leavening agents. kind of our whisk. Now, because I'm using a KitchenAid, I don't concern myself a lot with incorporating the leavening agents evenly into my flour before I add it. But it's definitely something you should do if you're using a hand mixer or beating by hand. All right, so here is our flour, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. Add it in. And then I'm going to slowly add my buttermilk. I'm going to stop spinning so I can kind of knock some of these flour mounds down off of the beater paddle. And I'm going to lower my bowl and scrape the sides of my bowl as well. So you guys have got to let me know if you have ever made a butter cake with success in the past, and let me know if you have any tips or tricks to follow. This is looking really yummy and thick. So I was reading up on the difference between butter cake and pound cake. I was kind of interested in what the difference was. So apparently pound cake gives you, the original recipe for pound cake had a pound of butter, a pound of flour, and a pound of sugar, which I found interesting. And it's supposed to be heavier, like a little more dense than butter cake. And that's kind of like the only difference really. I had to go buy a special pan for this, you guys, so I hope it turns out well. It requires a tube pan, also known as an angel food cake pan. So I'm excited to use it and see how it goes. A little bit, and then I'm going to call that done, guys. All right, so we've got our batter transferred over to our pan. We're going to put it in the oven. I did smooth out the batter, okay, to kind of even it out. You can kind of give it a little shake, but I wouldn't tap it or anything. You don't want it to like overly condense at all. So I'm going to stick this in the oven and we'll pull it out when it's done for another kind of, I guess, camera magic. But I am going to switch gears now and show you guys how to do the sauce on the stove. Okay? All right, guys. Normally I would do this on this burner, but it's a little far from the camera. So we're going to try it on here today. I'm going to turn my stove on. And when you put your ingredients in your pot, you want to put your salt, or not your salt, sorry, your sugar first, then your vanilla, then your water. Because we don't really want to have a lot of the granules of salt come up on the side of our pan. It's always a good idea to have one of these guys nearby with maybe a little bowl of water so that you can brush the sides with water and melt and dissolve any of those granules of sugar that might end up there. You especially need to do this if you are making a caramel, which I am kind of anticipating this to be similar to. Again, guys, you are doing this with me for the first time. I have not made this recipe. Living on the edge, guys. We're living on the edge. Our cake is in the oven. It's going to bake for another half an hour. So hopefully this turns well, but I will have time if I need to make the sauce again for any reason to do that. I'm just gonna slowly rotate while this warms up. Okay. We want to melt everything together into a nice sauce. Make sure all of our sugar has gotten wet. It should definitely be wet by now, seeing as I put my liquid ingredients in there before I even started making the cake batter. Okay. Well, guys, I am not good at talking for like no purpose, really. So I'm sorry if there's a lot of quiet downtime. Working on it. But let me ask you guys some questions, I guess. While you're watching me do this, what do you think is going to be our end result? Are you predicting a perfect turnout? Are you predicting a massive flop? Maybe you could let me know in the comments if you are surprised by the end outcome or not. And this butter looks chunky. You can see. It's kind of fun. I don't know. What do you guys do for your sauce making if you are already good at baking and doing things in the kitchen? You should give us some tips. Yeah, I'm expecting this to kind of turn out like a caramel. The recipe did not say to cook it to any kind of specific temperature though, so we're just going to do this until the butter is melted and turn it off. So it won't be thick like a caramel. So that's good. We don't have to be overly cautious about burning our sugar or anything like that. Okay, this butter is almost melted already, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to do the sides of my pan one more time because I'm seeing a lot of granules of sugar up there. I'm going to make sure all of those grains are dissolved so we don't get a weird texture in our sauce. So this is going to end up being like soaked into the cake, which sounds delicious. All right, guys, this is pretty well done. I'm going to whisk it a little bit more. Looks delicious. Look at that. Okay, butter is melted. I am shutting it off. And since I'm using an electric stove, I need to remove it from the heat and place it over here to the side. Okay, and we have another 27 minutes to go, so I'm going to stop the video and let you guys not wait with me in real time. All right, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos thus far, and I'll be right back with pulling a cake out of an oven. Oh, I will mention really quick though, this over here is my wire rack with wax paper as per instructed. So you can get that ready to go before you pull your cake out of the oven. All right, be back. All right, guys, this is our cake pan. It rested, well, I baked it at 350 for 60 minutes. Toothpick came out clean. Pulled it out, let it rest for 10 minutes in the warm pan. Ran my offset spatula around the outside and the inside edge of the pan. We flipped it over, it came out beautifully. And now we've just finished poking holes. Okay, so I've ran this all around and made a lot of little holes in the top of the cake here. And now we are going to get our butter sauce that we made earlier. Ta-da! And it says 1/4 cup at a time. So I'm just going to grab a 1/4 cup of this and slowly drizzle it on top of the cake and let it just absorb. The instructions say to do this a total of 3 times, and then to do it any remaining sauce with a pastry brush around the outside edges. So I'm guessing this is why we're a secondary, or maybe the main reason why we're putting the wax paper on our cooling rack to catch any drips. Okay, so here we go. Let's stand until the sauce is absorbed. That looks pretty absorbed to me. I'm gonna do a second. Maybe get a little closer to the edges here. So delicious. Okay, this looks yummy, 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 yum. Okay, should we get over here the inside edges too? Okay. Absorb. Ooh, it looks like a sponge. It's just like sucking it up. It's fun. Okay, let me go ahead and start over here. Okay, so this is our 3rd 1/4 cup going into the top of our cake. Just gonna try and hit up any areas where I didn't get absorption earlier. That looks so good, you guys. All right, now I'm gonna grab a little pastry brush. So I have a silicone pastry brush like this, and then I've got another bristle brush. And I like the bristle brush one, the traditional style, for dry, like cleaning off flour, dusting things off, and for like really loose liquids, because it will grab more of the loose liquids. And ideally you should have one brush for liquids and one brush for dry. So this one has become my wet stuff bristle brush, the silicone one, and then not bristle brush, but pastry brush, I guess it's called. And my standard one that has the actual bristles has become my dry one. That kind of makes it nice. There's still a significant amount of butter sauce left here, so I'm wondering how many times around we're gonna have to go on these edges. Kind of move over here so you guys can see what's going on. You can see there's a lip on the bottom edge over here. And that's because the pan is 2 pieces, so it kind of leaked out a little bit underneath on the bottom. But it's so good. It looks delicious, you guys. I can see why this is a blue ribbon butter cake recipe. I could see it winning some awards with that even dark crust. And the top of the cake looked really good too, you guys. Now you're gonna have to pardon me a little bit. I'm having some technical difficulties with my camera today, so I'm trying to catch anything. But if you notice kind of weird transitions in today's video, that's why. My camera has kind of shut off on me a couple different times now. I'm guessing it didn't like the latest update too much. Now, like I said earlier, this is the first time I made butter cake. I have made other cake recipes though, where you have to kind of soak it. Like tres leches, you soak, but like it's like swimming kind of in the pan still. But a lot of fancy cakes require you to have like a simple syrup and some kind of liqueur added to that, and you soak the cake for an extra citrusy flavor, kind of have it like a boozy rum cake kind of thing happening. But this is fun. I haven't done this in a long time where I've soaked a cake. The inside here, there's like a little puddle forming on the inside of the cake. I don't know. This is potential to be very messy, guys. So definitely use the wax paper. Maybe even consider putting like a tea towel down around on the counter if you don't want to have a sticky counter at the end. All right, show some love on this side. I kind of feel like I ignored it a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. Okay, guys. So this is going to completely cool before we cut it, and we are going to use a serrated knife at that point to get a cleaner cut. Serrated bread knife. Little random factoid for you guys, talking about the serrated bread knife. You can use them when you cut tomatoes instead of your regular chef's knife, because the tomatoes have an acid that dulls your knife blade. So if you use your regular chef knife or like a paring knife to cut a tomato, it almost instantly dulls your blade and you have to go sharpen it. So always use a serrated knife. Ooh, look at that deliciousness when you were cutting tomatoes. Totally unrelated to this cake, but anyways. All right, we'll be back when this is fully cooled. And you can see the crumb and how it looks like on the inside. Here we go. All right, there's our cake. There's our plates. I'm gonna focus on the plate over here. And I did see on some of the reviews for this recipe that people had a hard time transferring it. So we'll see. I think what I'm gonna do is hold it underneath, and then I'm just gonna peel the wax paper like this out from underneath. Hopefully it's not ripping too much. Okay, scooch, scooch. I'm gonna grab a fork real quick from my silverware drawer to help me get the rest of that wax paper out. All right, guys, that was fairly easy, not too bad. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, when you are cutting bread type things, you want to make sure you use a serrated knife because it will cut through easily. So that's what we're using, our bread knife. Okay, and a little slice of cake. Here we go. Let me go grab a plate real quick to put it on. Ooh, my pantry is getting full these days. All right, so here's our cake. Ooh, okay, so interesting, very interesting. I will lift up the cake plate for you guys so you can see the inside of that there. So the syrup butter sauce stuff didn't go down in as far as I had thought it might. That's fine. Still gonna be delicious. Okay, so for presentation purposes, if you're gonna serve this, I went ahead and made some whipped cream, guys. And I'll link the recipe or the video to watch me make the whipped cream with a link to that below. And I'll show you a really easy trick to do with whipped cream. So you take 2 spoons and you just kind of pull the whipped cream from one spoon to the other and you get a nice little shape. So if you're doing a homemade whipped cream and you don't have a star tip with a pastry bag or something, you could do this and it looks kind of nice and a little more, you know, appetizing than just flopping it on the cake. So you could do something like this. I'll do a third one. So it's kind of like looks like a half flower or something. Kind of like that. And then you could put some fresh berries on here. I don't currently have any, so I'm not going to do that. But you could put like a fresh berry right here, like a strawberry, and it would look like a half a daisy or something. It would be super cute. All right, I'm going to taste this and let you guys know. Oh, here, let me adjust my camera. Hi. Okay. I'm going to grab a little bit of whipped cream, a little bit of cake. It's really light, really fluffy. It's not as dense as I was expecting, so that's kind of cool. My whipped cream, by the way, is not super crazy sweet. It's really light too. Interesting. Okay, cake, no whipped cream. So what's kind of cool is the edge, even though we put all that butter sauce, is it still like a little bit crispy compared to the center. It's really good. I could see if you didn't put the butter sauce on there at all and just did the cake part and omitted the butter sauce, that would be a really pleasant texture combination as well. But this, how it is with the soaked sauce on the outside, it took a lot of that crisp away. So it's almost, I don't know, it's an interesting texture, guys, but it's quite tasty. I would love to add like a fresh half strawberry or something here, and then like drizzle with a strawberry sauce. That would be so pretty. Okay, anyways, there's an idea. Try it out. Let me know how it goes. Bye. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.